Good morning and welcome to the Morning Scoop for Friday, July 3rd, 2020. This is your daily Buckeye fix. I'm Tom Orr, and today I'm joined by Marc Givler, who's one of our lead recruiting analysts for BuckeyeScoop.com. Marc just got back from the Elite 11. Marc, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Tom. Been a busy few days and excited to kind of talk about what we saw down there.
Yeah, it was quite a jam-packed couple days down in Tennessee this week. The Elite 11, we talked about it on Wednesday's show, so you probably remember that, but basically a competition of some of the top high school quarterbacks in the upcoming senior class. So this would be the class of 2021. So for Ohio State, they were represented by Kyle McCord, who's committed to the 2021 class for the Buckeyes. Marc, you've obviously seen him play before, but it sounds like he looked very impressive this week.
Yeah, he had a great day on Tuesday. I think even he would admit Monday he was a little bit inconsistent. Had a couple of accuracy things on Monday. Probably the best day of anyone on Tuesday. He won the Pro Day competition. And then he followed that up on Wednesday with a really solid performance in the accuracy competition, which is essentially a fast-paced, high-tempo drill that is really meant to tire out the quarterback and then force him to make accurate throws while tired. And he was one of the better. It's based on a timing system, so you were able to you got X amount of time at each station. And if you didn't get the ball through the target, then you got to move on to the next one. And then obviously if you got the ball through the target on any of those initial throws, you're able to move on to the next target. So it was a timing-based exercise. And he was in the top 5 or 6 there, I think. He was among the top third of the guys there. And there was very little separation between like 3 and 7 or something like that. So he was definitely in the upper echelon on that as well. So strong performance. I hate to take too much from these things because you're thrown against air. There's no pass rush. There's so many things that aren't simulated that you can't really simulate without a live game. But for what the camp is, I thought Kyle had a really strong performance as one of the top guys there.
You mentioned that he won Pro Day, or he was one of the top players on Tuesday at that Pro Day event. Can you explain some of the drills that they're doing on Pro Day?
Yeah, so they're just basically simulating what a pro day workout would be. If anyone's ever watched any of like the NFL Combine, like pro day type stuff workouts where the quarterbacks kind of go through the motions or whatever, this was meant to simulate that. So essentially they start kind of in the shadow of their own goal line, and you're simulating, the types of throws you might be making in that situation. So some check downs, a couple swing passes. I believe there's a hitch in there. And then you slowly move your way down the field. And as the field opens up, so do the types of throws you're asked to make. So you start throwing some posts and some deep balls and some crosses and things like that. And you kind of get your way all the way down the field, and then you get into the red zone and you start making your red zone throws. So you'll throw that back pylon. You'll make a back pylon throw. You'll make a slant, kind of underneath the goalpost. Just different throws you'd be making in those situations. So just the type of thing that you would simulate at a pro day workout, and you're scored based on your accuracy. And Kyle had the best score of the week and won the competition.
I know you said you don't want to put too much weight on that, but if you're going to go to one of these things, you might as well win it, right? That's not so bad. So Kyle McCord, he is the 2021 Ohio State commit. The 2021 Michigan quarterback commit, JJ McCarthy, was also there. Those are guys who are probably going to get compared to each other for the next 5 years or so. You posted a video of every throw both of those guys made on Pro Day. If you haven't seen that, you can find Marc's video on BuckeyeScoop.com. But Marc, what did you see out of JJ McCarthy this week?
Yeah, I thought JJ had a good pro day showing as well. He's very interesting. He's got a really good arm. He definitely is more of an improv guy, which I think doesn't always show up in a camp like this. So he's gonna kind of different arm angles, kind of thrown on the move type stuff that he can do. That's kind of what he brings to the table. Not quite the strong prototype build that like Kyle McCord has, but kind of does it in his own way. Um, he reminds me a little bit of Shea Patterson, and that could mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people when I throw out that comparison. Um, I would say somewhere between what Shea was ranked as a high school prospect and what Shea ultimately ended up at Michigan is kind of where I would put JJ, I think. But it's that type of player, I think, with some ability with the legs, with the improv stuff, and then it's just going to be a matter of, okay, can that be harnessed within the structure of your offense, and that's going to be up to the Michigan coaching staff to do that. But he's definitely a talent.
Beyond those two guys, there were obviously a lot of other top quarterbacks there this week. Who really kind of jumped out to you? I know Caleb Williams, who's a 5-star from Washington, D.C., who's likely ticketed for Oklahoma. He's the one who was declared the winner this week. What did you see out of him, and who else was there that really kind of jumped out to you in a positive way this week?
Yeah, there was probably a group of maybe 6 or 7 that I kind of thought were better than everybody else. I'm not going to bore everyone with like all 6 or 7, but on Wednesday, Brock Vandegrift was amazing in the accuracy drill. I mean, he pretty much lapped the field. He moved very quickly through that. And the key to that drill is, of course, getting off to a good start, because the better start you get off to, the fewer throws, the fewer dropbacks you're going to have to make. Some of these guys who didn't get off to a fast start in that drill, by the middle of the drill, were really laboring. So Brock took the bull by the horns there from the jump, and he had a tremendous day on Wednesday. He's going to Georgia. He's a 5-star guy. He was very strong. I thought all week, really, but I think his best day was Wednesday. The guy I just loved watching throw the football was Drake May. And, that's interesting because Drake was probably right at the top of the wish list along with Kyle McCord for Ohio State when the quarterback evaluation process started for them, a year or two ago. And so I thought Drake was not as sharp Wednesday as he was Tuesday, but he was very strong. He had the second best score on Tuesday to McCord in the pro day competition. And I was kind of tongue in cheek on Twitter about it, but when you watch Drake May, it's hard to describe. You just know that's how it's supposed to look when someone throws a football. That's just what it's supposed to look like. And does he throw on the run as well as some of the other guys? Maybe not at this point, so that may be a point of emphasis for him. But just pure drop back guy, wow, he was impressive. I don't want to take anything away from Caleb Williams, because I know there's a lot of controversy right now about him winning the MVP. And, for me, I guess I just have a fundamental disagreement with how the MVP was awarded. I don't disagree that if we're talking physical traits and maybe some film stuff, that Caleb would probably be higher ranked than what he actually did this week. But for me, in that type of setting, I think you should really just kind of grade him on the 3 days. And I know it can be hard for fans who don't do this for a living, who aren't watching these kids as much as we are, who just kind of get little glimpses here and there to kind of wrap their brains around this, because they're not in the battle, so to speak. But you should be able to separate prospect from performance. And for me, when you go to a camp like this, it should be about the performance and not so much about the projection of the prospect. You can say Caleb Williams is an immensely talented prospect and maybe the best prospect in the country at his position, but you can, at the same time, don't have to give him the MVP if he did not have the best 3-day performance. And I didn't think he had the best 3-day performance.
And it sounded like they changed the way they awarded that this year. Can you explain that? It sounds like it was a lot more based on film than the during the week performance this year. Can you explain what they changed and the rationale behind that decision, if they gave one?
Yeah. So my understanding was 75% based on film and physical traits. I haven't been given the entire explanation, but what I can say about that is a lot of it was COVID related in terms of they didn't have their full regional camps to evaluate. And so they kind of went off the data they had, which was physical traits from seeing them in person at the event and the camp performance, and of course junior film. And it seems to me like the junior film was weighted more heavily, in large part due to the lack of regional evaluation opportunities.
And just to circle back, you mentioned Drake May earlier. He is headed for North Carolina, part of Mac Brown's rather remarkable 2021 recruiting class. He was someone who I'm pretty sure Drake May and JJ McCarthy and maybe Kyle McCord, but at least McCarthy and May were both at one of Ohio State's spring practices last year. It might have been the open practice where they let the students come in and see them. But yeah, those were both guys that Ohio State was looking at. But it sounds like Kyle McCord was the guy who Ryan Day had right at the top of his board, and it was, that was, I know May was pretty high there, but it sounds like Kyle McCord was the guy that Ryan Day more or less handpicked and said, "This is the guy I would want more than at the top of my list for 2021." Is that sort of your understanding?
Yeah, it's that my understanding would be that essentially McCord and May were 1 and 1A, and they certainly were not going to hold off Kyle for anybody. There was no one they had above Kyle to the level that they would ever hold off somebody else or hold off Kyle for somebody else. So I think McCord and May were probably pretty close in terms of how they were viewed, but you could get Kyle, and with May at the time there was going to be a longer drawn out process there, and there's no point if you think they're close, equal, or Kyle slightly better. Drake, if you think it's in the same zip code, you don't wait. And so it was clearly, for me, it was Kyle and Drake were kind of the two that they were gonna, if one of whichever one, if they got one, that was it. And if they weren't going to hold off anybody at either of those two guys for the other one. And with May being a later decision, and with his ties, ironically, he committed to Alabama first, but he also had those ties to North Carolina, which is obviously where he's committed now. And I think it was also thought that was going to be a much tougher pool as well. So, those were the two, I think, at the very top that, and McCarthy was certainly in the mix, but it was, for me, from what I was told at the time and from what I've continued to hear, it was always kind of McCord and May and whichever one they could get first.
The other thing that's nice about landing Kyle McCord is they also ended up with Marvin Harrison Jr., who's a very, very talented wide receiver, top 100 prospect, who goes to the same high school as Kyle McCord. Both of them are committed to the 2021 class. And yes, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the son of Marvin Harrison Sr., a wide receiver of some renown at Syracuse and in the NFL. So pretty good bloodlines there. Mark, before we let you go, tomorrow, Saturday, on July 4th, is the final day that people can sign up to be a member of BuckeyesCoop.com, be a part of our Founders Club. You can do that as a monthly or annual member, but you have to sign up by the end of Saturday, July 4th. So, Mark, kind of let people know what benefits come with being a part of that Founders Club.
Yeah, again, we're hoping to reward people who are kind of showing some trust in us here from the beginning as we get going and get our feet underneath us. So we're going to do, throughout the year, we're going to do some giveaways of, some merchandise, or we got some other ideas. I've got some hockey tickets I'd love to give away to the Founders Club, some Blue Jackets tickets and stuff like that, but we have to have arenas with fans for that to happen first. So we just some things like that, some thank you type stuff. We'd like to have some events. We're certainly going to do some of those things again this fall. We've been working on a Friday night gathering before a big Saturday home game, but again, that's kind of depends on what that landscape looks like at that time. But we're going to also take feedback from membership on, some things that would enhance the experience for them and maybe include that into the Founders Club. And then eventually, won't be right away July 4th, but eventually we will have some special recognition in your profiles on the site that signify that you are a Founders Club member. So we'll be adding that in a batch update at a later time as well. So it's really just kind of little things we can do here and there to thank people for their support. And we're going to continue to evolve, what that can be and get some feedback on that. But those are just kind of some of the things we've talked about and look forward to implementing.
As with everything this year, there are no guarantees as far as events this fall, but one thing that is a guarantee: if you do not sign up by Saturday, July 4th, you will not be a member of the Founders Club. That is not going to reopen. So if you want to do it, if you've thought about joining, this is the time to do it. Sign up Friday, July 3rd, today. Sign up Saturday, July 4th. Make sure you get in before that deadline, because once that closes, it's not going to reopen. So there will be a lot at some point. Mark, you will be able to get Mark's hockey tickets. They will have hockey at some point again in the future. Pretty sure of that. So definitely want to be a part of that. Mark, thank you for joining us. And thank you all for listening. Make sure you check out BuckeyesScoop.com to find all of Mark's coverage from the Elite 11, plus all the other great content you have come to know and love from BuckeyesScoop.com in the last month. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you on Monday.